So I guess if you've clicked on this video, then you've considered having kids at some point in your life. Maybe that's something that's really on your heart right now. I want to tell you a little bit of why me and my wife decided to have kids and kind of what we've learned through that process. And maybe you can consider whether or not having children is for you or not. And I'm not here to tell you what to do. I certainly would not presume to understand your life. And I think everyone is different. Everyone has a different situation. But I can share a little bit of my story and why me and Janice had kids. I've actually got 4 kids, got 4 boys. They're 5, 6, and 7 right now. Yes, that was pretty intense, that season of life of having those kids, and my wife is a super mom. But I'm making this video because I've had a lot of conversations with people over the years, and maybe I've seen conversations online with people saying, is it responsible to bring a child into the world, you know, with all the challenges that the world is facing right now? And I know for me, as a person who lives in Hong Kong has had some political challenges over the last number of years, and I'm not going to go into the politics of that, but basically people were saying that we had no future, and I don't agree with that, of course, but they were saying that it wasn't maybe right to bring kids into the world. And I was hearing these great young couples who I thought would make awesome parents saying, is it really right to have kids in this season of life? Like, it just seems like the world is in such a hard place. And so I want to share a little bit of my story. That's kind of the heart behind why I wanted to make this video. And if you don't yet have kids, I guess we could summarize by putting you in 2 categories. Either you don't want kids or you want kids, and maybe you're trying to make up your mind about which category you fall into. Now, we could then split up this category of wanting kids even further into those that can't and those that are waiting. And maybe for those who can't, maybe it's because you don't yet have a partner, or maybe it's because you're trying and it hasn't happened yet. And I'm praying with you for breakthrough, for God to touch you so that you could have a baby if you are in that category. But for those of us who are kind of waiting for the right timing, I think this really speaks to that group that I was talking about, who are saying, you know, is it right to bring a child into the world? Maybe it's not because of something macro, like what I was saying, like the whole city had challenges. Maybe it's something micro. Maybe it's something in your life. Like, is it right to bring a child into the world when my life is not fully integrated and put together, where, you know, I still have issues? Is it fair to bring a kid into the world when my life is far from perfect? And I need to say that it is true. We all know it, that a child will complicate our lives. We can't avoid it. It's inconvenient to have a child. Kids are work. They're expensive. They're a lot of work. It's probably the biggest amount of work you'll ever put into anything. I don't want to frame this negatively because I'm going to get to the good part in a moment, but I can't sugarcoat the costs of parenting. It's going to cost you financially. It's going to cost you energy. It's going to cost you sleep. It's going to cost you resources, your time. It's going to cost you emotion. There's an opportunity cost. In fact, you know, I wish I did so many more things before I had kids, because once you have kids and you're managing them, especially us with 4 of them, you know, there's just not as many things that you could do. And I've got other goals for my church and for my business and things like that. And I'm just time limited because obviously I want to put my kids first and give them my best time. So there are opportunity costs. And I will say this, it is never convenient to have a child. It's a massive disruption. And I know I'm not like selling it much here, but I want to be honest with you. But I do believe that because of these things, that I think parenting has a bad rap. I think it has I think people think that it's this big impossible thing and I have to have my life completely together to be able to take care of a child. And obviously it can't be total chaos, but I think there is a healthy medium here of my life isn't perfect, but I'm a good person, and me and my partner, maybe we could be a good parent. I think people sometimes are so focused on the cost, they're not looking at the reward of raising kids. And I think you shouldn't look at any investment that way. And I'm not saying kids are an investment, but they kind of are. Like, you sow into this child for all these years, and there's so much that you reap from it. There's so much joy. There's so much depth of relationship that you have with the child. In fact, I know Jordan Peterson, if you know him, he basically says that the opportunity for a parent and a child to have a relationship, that opportunity is unlike any other human relationship. It has the potential for the most depth of any kind of relationship we can have on earth. The bond between a parent and a child. And I know that we've seen a lot of, bad examples of this and a lot of hurt in families, but we've got to agree that the potential is there for the deepest relationship. And I can feel that even with my boys, even though they're 5, 6, and 7 years old. I can see how I'm excited for when they're older and we can have deep conversations and do life together on on that kind of a level. I'll always be their dad, but to the point where they grow up to be adults themselves and we can be friends as well. I can see how wonderful that would be. And many of the most precious moments over the last, since we had kids, 7, 8 years, of me and my wife's life has been related to our kids. And if we looked at our kids as just for all the inconveniences, and we decided not to have a child, we would have missed out on all of that. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. You got to do you. Don't let me, I'm not here to preach to you to do one thing or the other. I just want to tell you what we did and what we've experienced. But as we've parented, those moments of joy, like tucking kids in at night and, giving them a kiss on the head and, praying with them before they sleep and sending them off to school. And, when they draw something for you and they come to you so proud and they learned a new song on the piano and all these little kind of, it seems like small moments. There's so much beauty in that. And I really believe in life that the best things are usually the hardest things, that we get the most fulfillment from the biggest responsibilities. And I've made a video on that. You can check that out here, about just the power of embracing responsibility rather than running for it or running from it. And I just think that's what happens when we become a parent, is we take on the biggest responsibility really of our life. And I think great marriages, great businesses, if you win gold at the Olympics, all of this is going to take work. There's going to be a huge cost with it, but it's worth it. And only a fool is focused on the cost and ignores the reward of something. Okay, so I'm not calling you a fool. I've been a fool many times, but I am encouraging you to look at the reward. What are you focusing on? Maybe you're weighing things up here of want or don't want, and you're looking at all the challenges. Well, okay, you need to do that. You need to understand the cost of something before you get into it. But at the same time, have you put as much energy into looking at the rewards of it? Because it may be very, very lopsided. And maybe you're not ready for it now, but you might be next year or something like this. So yes, it's a big investment. It's like an 18-year investment in a child, but it's a lifetime of those precious moments. And it's so rewarding. It's so awesome. And, in some ways, I wish we could have had more kids. There's a part of me that wants that, but I also know that it's a lot of work, and we had to consider my wife's health after each child, and also having twins in the middle. Her body had been through a lot. So we're looking at all of these different factors, and we had to weigh it up. We had to be practical. We live in one of the most expensive cities in the world, and where are we going to put all these kids? We do have to look at the practicalities. We do have to look at the costs, the health costs, the finance costs. But at the same time, I've found that, where there's a will, there's a way. And instead of maybe lowering our dreams to the size of our current capacity, sometimes we can actually increase our capacity to the size of our dreams. And I really want to encourage you to really think deeply about this one, because it's big. The decision of whether to have a child or not is a life decision. That's huge. If you're a believer, pray about it. Obviously, I hope you are. But definitely talk to your spouse, talk to them, and really think this through. But make sure you're looking through the reward side of it, not just the fear side, because that fear voice is so loud. I don't know what country or city you're watching this from. I don't know what's going on in your environment. And I don't know what's going on in your personal life. And it is very easy to be overtaken by fear and overtaken by these thoughts of, oh, this could just be really hard. And, is it worth it? Well, I believe it's worth it. I do think there's many situations where you should not bring a child into it. That's why I'm saying I can't make that decision for you. It all depends. But if we look at history, like if I look at the current situation here right now, I mentioned that there are some challenges in Hong Kong for political reasons, and that some people had lost hope. Not me, but some people had. And when I look at that compared to ancient times, I look at the samurai era in Japan, or biblical times. Those were some violent times. Those were some scary times. I think we're actually living in the most blessed generation in human history. I don't think it was better during World War I. I don't think it was better during World War II, or during the Spanish flu, or the Black Plague, or do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, the world is complex, and we have social media, and it's pushing this negative narrative all the time. But if we actually step back and look at human history, this is a pretty awesome time to be alive. And maybe there's more in you than you think. Maybe there is more potential than you realize. And I want to encourage you, really think about it. Talk to your spouse. I'm going to stop repeating myself. I'm going to wrap up this video. And I just want to say, it's great having a family. It's pretty awesome. And if you're believing for one and you don't yet have one, I'm praying for you, believing with you. And my name's Richard, and I will see you in the next video.